I'm finally back with a Project A to Z update. Honestly, I don't know what update this is, but because I don't know what update it is, I'm going through the whole alphabet just to tell you what I have panned and what I haven't panned. It's gonna be my last major update, I guess, because this project does end January 1st. So January 1st is when I'm gonna be doing my finale. I believe I have 3 months left to finish what I'm trying to accomplish, and I don't have that much progress, honestly, but that's besides the point. So if y'all don't know, this project was made by Sophie Alexandra. I'll link her in the description box. I only decided to do eyeshadow palettes for this project, nothing else. So I chose an eyeshadow palette that has the letter that starts with A, the name will start with A, B starts with a B for the alphabet, and just hit pan. So we're gonna start off with A and go from there. So if y'all don't know, I changed this probably like 2 other times before this update. I really don't remember, but I know I had a whole new lineup. I believe in Texas I started a whole new lineup because I didn't have the palette. So for A, we had the Fade into Hue palette, and I have some shades in here from this palette, so I'm not gonna show the whole thing just so I don't spoil it for y'all. But my shade was Abstract, which is this yellow shade, and if y'all can see, I did hit pan. I hit pan after 3 uses, and I love that. What I realized is I really love this Fade into Hue palette. Like, honestly, I kind of want to pan this whole palette because I love it so much and it's so colorful. For B, we have the Wet n Wild Ohana Disney Stitch Collection palette, and it's in the shade Be Wild. This was in the project since the beginning, and it's this glitter shade, and I hit pan in 2 uses. I really like Wet n Wild's glitter formula, and that made me buy a whole bunch of these palettes. For C, I took my Icy Glam Light palette in the blue raspberry one, part of my new lineup, and this was in the shade Chilling, and it's this little shade right here. I hit pan in 3 uses just because Glam Light's formula is very like malleable, and I tried not to move it that much. For D, I had my Daisy Marquez palette, and also this palette had a lot of like other letters in it, so I'm gonna hold off from showing those. But this palette was in it from the beginning, and I hit pan on Daisy. I hit pan on Daisy after 3 uses, which is honestly kind of shocking, but I had to pack it on because the pigment was not there anymore. As for E, I had my Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette, and this is a part of my new lineup. It's in the shade Evergreen, and actually I have not hit pan yet, but I have a pretty dip, and I've used the shade 5 times. For F, we also had the Retro Glam palette in the shade Flutter, and I actually hit pan. It took me 9 times to hit pan, but that's because I had a pretty big dip from the beginning. But yeah, I really love this as an inner corner highlight. For G, I have the Makeup Revolution palette Hydro Dolphin, and this was a part of my new letters, and it's in the shade Golf, which is this shade. And because I'm working on my other project pan that has an outro coming out, I believe this week, I only used the shade 1 time. For H, it was my Best Life holiday one, and that was from the beginning. But if y'all seen my last video, y'all seen I had to throw that palette away because I had bugs. So yeah, but I hit pan on that one. I hit pan on that one in 4 uses, but again, that one had a whole bunch of like a huge dip anyway, so yeah. For I, we're back in the Daisy Marquez palette. This is the shade Icy. I hit pan after 33 uses, and the pan is tiny. I was using this daily. It wasn't that pigmented. I didn't really like that shade, that's why I like left it a small pan. For J, this is my Profusion Mean Girls palette, which is in this lineup since the beginning, and it's in the shade Jealous. And I hit pan after 2 uses. The shade was brand new, so I was surprised it took 2 uses, but these pans are really shallow, I believe. And this pan was like really, the color was really crumbly. For K, we're into Fade into Hue palette, and this was a part of my new lineup, and so it was the shade Kaleidoscope. The shade Kaleidoscope, which is this glitter shade, and I really love ColourPop's glitter. It took me 1 use. For L, we're back in Daisy Marquez. This has been in the lineup since the beginning. I believe this is the last shade in here, and it's Lucid. It's the purple shade. It took me 6 times to hit pan. For M, we're back in Daisy Marquez. This is the last one. In the shade Matter, I didn't even realize I used this shade, but it took me 25 times to hit pan. It's being pan matte black for my eyebrows every single day, and like y'all can see, it's like a long dip. And we have the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. This is a part of my new lineup, and it's in the shade Nurture, which I need to cover up a shade. I used this shade 4 times, and no pan, no dip, no nothing, because I use this transition shade. So this is take a long time to pan, which I realized. So yeah, and I don't use, and it kind of reminds me of Warm Taupe also. For O, we had the ABH Prism palette in Obsidian, and this was a part of the original lineup. It took me 12 uses to hit pan, and it's a black. Blacks are pretty easy for me. For P, we had the Sweet Peach palette, and it's in the shade Puree. It took me 7 times to hit pan because I have significant dip. For Q, we have the Jaclyn Hill palette, and it's in the shade Queen, which is this gold. It took me 4 times to hit pan. It's not gonna focus. For R, we have the 35 eye palette, and I really love this palette. Like, truly, I don't use it enough for how much I like it. It actually matches my shirt right now. But my shade was Rosy Haze, which is this, and it's really malleable, and it took me 2 uses to use it, and I wasn't even like pushing it on purpose. It just happened after 2 uses. For S, we're back in the Retro Glam palette, and it's in the shade Sage, which is this one. I used it 3 times, no pan, no dip, but you can see brush marks. For T, we're back in the Prism palette. For Throne, it took me 4 uses to hit pan on Throw. For U, we're in the Jaclyn Hill palette. This is a part of my second lineup in the shade Buns, and I used this 7 times, no pan. For V, we have my Dream palette. It's in the shade Vision, which is the duochrome. I used the shade 5 times, so no pan, nothing. For W, we have the Hydro Dolphin palette again. This is part of my second lineup. It's in the shade Wave. I used this palette 8 times, and I mostly use it as a blush. The dolphin's kind of like gone now. For X, we have the Fancy Hue palette in Express. It took me 3 times to hit pan. For Y, we're back in the Jaclyn Hill palette in the shade Pukey, which is this one. And I used it 3 times, so no pan. For Z, it's Zygus in Fade into Hue palette. I used this shade 12 times, and it only has a little bit, not too much. I've been working on this quite a bit. Yeah, that's my A to Z like update. I'm gonna move on to my Modern Renaissance palette, which honestly I've not been working on at all. I still have 4 pans to go. So I have Antique Bronze left, which I didn't use once at all since my last update. I have Love Letter, and I've used that, well, Antique Bronze from the beginning, I've used it 1 time. Love Letter from the beginning, I've used it 4 times. Red Ochre, beginning, I've used it 5 times. Warm Taupe, beginning, I've used it 10 times. My plan for this month is to finish Red Ochre and Love Letter. I feel like those 2 are the closest. And I'm actually using Red Ochre on my eye right now. So actually I have used it 1 time. October I want to finish those 2 shades. Use Antique Bronze at least 1 time because I've not used that shade, so I don't know what it even looks like. As for my A to Z, y'all see I believe I have 9 shades left over for my A to Z project pan to finish. And with 3 months, I would have to finish 3 shades a month. And with my Natasha Denona, it's not possible. Honestly, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm not going to be able to finish my Natasha Denona shadows. So I decided with the last 3 months, I'm going to switch my shades. I still kept some, but like if I feel like I wasn't gonna finish it, I switched them out because I do want to finish this project. Just because like my first year-long project, and I actually want to like accomplish my goals. After this is my last switch. I'm just gonna stick with the shadows after this. So yeah. So for E, I'm actually gonna be keeping Evergreen just because I really like this shade. It's a cream to powder, and I have a huge dip, so I can finish it. Like y'all see that huge dip? I can finish this, so I'm gonna keep Evergreen just so I can pan another Natasha Denona palette, you know. But for G, I'm not gonna be able to finish just because I used it 1 time. My Animal Project pan, the other shade was from, like the product's done, but I still don't feel like I'll be able to finish this within 3 months because I haven't been using browns that much, and this looks like more of a summer brown to me. So I decided I'm gonna switch that one out too. And for that, I'm taking my Michaela palette, and I'll be panning the shade Glow Up, which is this shade. And the shade's brand new. I've only swatched it because it's a Glam Light formula and it's shimmery. I feel like I can hit pan on it fairly simple. I'm gonna swatch it for you. So that's what it looks like. I feel like this is like a good lid shade every single day. Now for N, Nurture. Palette, I'm 100% sure for a fact I'm not gonna finish just because this is Warm Taupe dupe, and I need to finish Warm Taupe completely, and this is not even close to having a dip or anything. So I'm switching this one out. I'm switching it out for the Self X Super Spice palette in the shade Night Owl. And if y'all don't know, blacks are super easy for me, and it already has a pretty big dip. Now for S, which is Sage, I really wish I could pan this shade, but I know I'm not gonna finish it in time. So yeah, I'm gonna switch this one out. And we're gonna be working on this Pro Mean Girls book in the shade Spell Orange, which is this orange shade. And I know I just took out Golf because it was orange. For you, I'm gonna keep Buns just because, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep it. For V, visually, I'm switching out. Don't get me wrong, I really love this shade. Like, honestly, if I didn't start this project, I probably would have never used duochrome. And that's surprising because everybody loves Natasha Denona. Well, everybody loves duochromes in general. But yeah, I would have never touched it. So instead, I'm gonna use the 9B palette in the shade Vintage. Is this? Okay, y'all. I just realized I put two of like the same shades. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've never used Vintage. I'm gonna swatch it. It's a pretty mustard color, but I've never used it. Actually, let me swatch Spout Orange just to see. Okay, they're pretty. Oh my god, these three colors could actually do a look together. You know what? I'm gonna keep it. I'll keep it. And for W, we're gonna change out Wave just because this is too bright of a pink for me in this time. Instead, I'm going to put another pink, but it's gonna be the Lost in Los Angeles palette, and I really love this palette. Like, this is a pretty pastel palette. I painted in the shade Weehoo. There's another pink, more like the transitional pink, and I can also use this as blush also. And I really want to hit pan on this palette because I love it. And they were keeping Pukey and Zygus. So yeah, we only switched out a couple of shades just because I really want to hit pan and accomplish this. My Desert Dust palette, I'm not panning anymore because that's too dry. So yeah, that's out. But yeah, that's it for this update. I'm going to stick to it. See, let me set some goals. I want to finish 5 eyeshadow palettes. I want to hit pan on 5 shadows. I already told you I want to finish those 2 shadows, so the next 3. I believe I can pan Night Owl, which is the black. I'm gonna work on Pukey, which is the Jaclyn Hill one, and Evergreen because it also has a dip. So those 3 I'm gonna try and pan within the next month. So yeah, I'll see you guys then.